Hey everyone. First of all, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I have to work today, so common nowadays. Um, but earlier yesterday during my lunch, I came out and I talked about the whole net neutrality situation. There are some that saying pretty much it's going to be a lost cause, saying as though a majority of the seats in Congress are held by Republicans, and that they'll be more in favor of repelling net neutrality instead of saving it. Well, here's the thing though. Net neutrality, here's the thing. Net neutrality might be in danger, but I don't think it's totally in danger. Because how many times have we done the same song and dance over the past couple of years? We've done it with SOPA, we've done it with PIPA, you name it, you name the kind of bill and proposal that some people in government or one person in government in Congress has tried to propose to end certain portions of the internet or restrict them or control them better, and it's pretty much failed. And even if it's passed, what's happened? It's gone to Supreme Courts and it's failed there. Pretty much going to be the same thing with this proposal that this Ajit Platt, I think that's his name, this person Ajit Platt is trying to put into place. Now, some people might say it's a good thing. Some people might say that ending net neutrality will help. But a lot of American citizens like myself and many others out there find that hard to believe, Eve, that any net neutrality is going to help. One of the providers I have is Comcast, and Jeff Siegel, the Schlick Daddy, was very vocal about them, saying that they're one of the companies that supports this strongly, and they probably do. But even if that's the case, even if that's the case, here's the thing about that. Comcast has come out and said that nothing in a sense will really change. That they basically, and I think if I can look this up here, okay, this was 1 day ago. This is according to Tech Dirt, if I can pull it up. Let's see here. Well, basically, from what I saw one time, or moments ago or earlier, basically Comcast, along with other providers, say that none of this is going to affect the consumers, and a lot of people find that hard to believe because one thing about corporations, And one thing about corporations, whether they're big or small, major, whatever, is to get ahead and succeed in business is they lie. They lie out their teeth, they lie out the you know whats. They just end up lying all the time. And they do it because they try to save their ass. They try to save their butts. Here's the thing. Let's say, let's say, for example, let me put it to you like this. Let's give them the benefit. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. All right. Let's say, for example, you're right about it. Let's say Comcast and all these providers are right about what they're saying. Let's say they are. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Then who is this really going after? That's what you have to ask yourself. What's this really about? Is it about providing? I mean, what I said yesterday, I think kind of is one of the reasons. You know, I said yesterday that every time we have some kind of threat to our country or any portion of the world, something like this comes up. And it's like, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to use this as an excuse to police certain video, social media interactions that might imply that something will go down? You know, if that's the case, then I'm all for the fact that they want to, try to put some restriction if it's meant to only try to police these and try to discover where the next threat to this country or any other country could be coming from. Because if they can control and police that at least, then maybe it makes it a safer world. But then again, but then again, why does it take something like that for something like this to be proposed? You know, you have this guy coming out and saying that net neutrality limits packages, certain packages people want. That net neutrality causes certain things to appear that you don't want. Like, let's say you just want YouTube, Facebook. You just want what you're getting right, you're using right now. Like, you just want the standard internet. You know, you just want YouTube. You just want Facebook. You just want to use the internet in general without having to worry about pop-ups here and there or being referenced to here and there. You know, it, the thing is, if any net neutrality means you got to have certain packages, but maybe those packages are still what you have, but they're just going to raise the price of the internet. I mean, here's what I look at, because here's what I look at. I look at the fact that if this was to pass, and it's got a long way to go before it becomes a reality, and I mean a long way to go, because the moment it passes is the moment you get so much backlash, not just on the corporation supporting it, but on Washington itself. Because a lot of people are not going to be too thrilled with the fact that, that this proposal has been passed and now it's got to go through other regulations. I mean, here's the thing, just because they're voting to repel it or repel net neutrality doesn't mean it's an automatic victory for them. Yeah, they're one step closer to, controlling the internet, or at least policing it, as some people put it, or deciding whether or not what to do as far as, what you can gain access to. And it's still got to go through a lot more. It can be proposed, it can be voted on, but in the end, it's also got to go through other final votes. It really does. I mean, You might say, now I know you're thinking, well, that's not the case here. All they have to do is vote to repel it, and that's it, it's done. Not really. How many times has something passed that we've been against that has had to go through of a lot of obstacles to get through? And while they went through these obstacles, in the end, it didn't achieve anything because of the fact that people like us spoke up. Corporations that don't like what's going on here have encouraged us to speak up. There's a lot of major corporations that are against this that are going to ask the people like us to come out and speak up against it. That's why, battleforthenet.com or the Battle for the Net website has come out and said, hey, look, you know, call your Congress, come out, provided a website, right, basically where put your phone number in, your cell phone, whatever, and you talk to whoever represents your congressman for that state, explaining why, or at least saying, look, this is not the right thing to do. And believe it or not, like I said yesterday during my lunch break, there are thousands, if not millions of people already doing that every day, every day. And I wouldn't be surprised that even on this day of Thanksgiving, they do it. But there are people every day that are like, look, you cannot let this happen. You cannot let this occur. This is wrong. And you know what? One thing I pointed out yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it's true in all facets, and people know this, is the more you call up Congress, the more you call up your state congressman or woman, and you tell them this is not right and why it should not happen, the more, not only the more is it going to help possibly make sure this proposal doesn't become a reality, but you got to look at it from a political, if not from a political standpoint, especially a money pocketing standpoint, as far as those people are concerned. Those men and women want to keep their seats in Congress for the next several years, even after the next election. If people keep pestering them about this and knowing that if they don't vote against it, those seats that they currently occupy are going to be gone because people are not going to want to vote for them anymore because they were in favor of something they didn't want. And the truth is, I look at it this way. I look at it this as well. Let's say net neutrality passes. Let's say this whole thing becomes a reality. It's not going to be forever because whoever comes in next, because whenever the next election is, those people that come in as the new Senate, the new Congress people, the new House, some of the newer members, they will basically see what's happened and be like, no, this is not what you should have done. You screwed it up. We're going to vote against it. We're going to vote to bring net neutrality back, and we're going to vote not only to bring it back, but we're going to make sure it never gets put in danger again. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Let's say this all occurs, and this whole FCC and all these corporations are the ones that are controlling the internet, or at least sustaining the internet in the best way possible as far as they're concerned. It's not going to be forever because whoever comes in next is going to be like, in the next election or so, going to be like, no, this is not happening. Let me give you an example from a state perspective. For years, for years, we have had one or a few people propose for the state of California to be separated into two states. Yeah, to two or three or four states. That's what's been voted on. Because we're such a big state, people have voted, or not voted, but discussed of separating this great state of ours that I live in into separate states on its own. They've made proposals to go basically the route that, let's be honest, the Virginias have gone. Because I think historically Virginia was one big state, and then because it was such a big state and everything, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, They decided to separate it into Virginia and West Virginia, or whatever. South Virginia, North Virginia, I don't know. But I know they separated it. Same with the Carolinas. Instead of just being one Carolina state, they separated it into two, and thus you had North Carolina and South Carolina. The point is, there are people that have been proposing for years, and true, they've probably gotten some in their favor, votes in their favor to make this a reality, to make it a reality, but in the end, it's gone nowhere. And every time an election comes up, they try their best to get this to become a reality. And and why? Well, because California is too big of a state? Because financially it will help everybody out? Who knows what the reason is? The point is, anytime someone has come up with a proposal to separate California into four separate states, North California, East California, West California, Southern California, Central California, you name it, it's always backfired on them. It's always backfired because pretty much the people are not falling for it. They're not falling for these false advertisements of how this could be a good thing or it could be a great thing. They're not falling for it. Another thing is they don't, and another reason not falling for it is because they know it's all about this. It's all it's about. And a lot of people look at this whole repeal net neutrality proposal as being the same thing. It's about this. It's about give me the money, give me the money, give me the money. And yet, here's what here, but yet in the eye, and yet in the eyes of a lot of people, the hypocrisy is the very corporations that are in favoritism of repelling net neutrality are coming out and saying, "Oh, don't worry, nothing really bad going to happen. Nothing really, nothing really bad's going to happen. Nothing is going to change. Da. And yet you have this one guy saying, a different story, telling a different story. Here's where the companies that are in favoritism of this, but say nothing's going to change, have to prove their point. They have to prove to us the point. They have to prove to us that nothing's going to change by not touching anything. That's what they need to do. They need to say, look, yeah, we were in favoritism. They need to come out and say, yes, we were in favor of it, but we're not going to really change. Here's the proof. If we don't see no price gouging on our internet service, we don't see any like, oh, well, you want to go for this? Fine. Go ahead. Ed, no problem. If they can prove to us there won't be no charge, that's fine. As long as I don't see a price thing coming down my screen saying, oh, you want to access DeviantArt? Pay $2.99. As long as I don't see that, that's fine. But again, it all goes back to what's going to happen. I think this guy realizes he's in for an uphill battle, a battle he's probably going to lose. Yes, he may be victorious in having this repeal voted on and voted for. He may win on that, but in the end, he knows he's going to lose the battle. Because, like I said before, just because this proposal may win in the end, or may win the vote on December 14th, doesn't mean it's total victory, because it's still got to go through different other filters before it becomes a reality. Yes, he's proposing the vote. How many times has a vote been proposed and succeeded, but yet it's still got to go through other filters? It's got to go through more than just a vote in Congress, okay? It's got to go to the House of Representatives, which some people might say is the damn same thing. But it's got to go through all these other filters. And unless they find a way to get around that and make this a reality quicker than we can expect, then that's a surprise to me. But everybody knows that even if something gets voted on at the start, doesn't mean it's going to be finalized in the end. Now, some people might say, well, there have been votes already earlier in the year, and they've succeeded. That might be true. But there have been several, but earlier in the summer, something like this came up, and I believe it may have failed, or at least didn't succeed in the way they wanted it to. The point is we've been down this path several times. Several times. And what has happened in the end? Any proposal that has been to try to control, to propose any kind of proposal, whatever, bill, whatever, that has been presented to try to police, control, or maintain the internet in a way that's not in the favoritism of free speech and all that, has failed. It has failed. And it's not just failed because of people like me speaking out about it. It's failed because of corporations like the one I work for, Walmart, Target. You got the online corporations like Amazon, Google, Netflix. All these people, all these corporations, major, big, major, they have a stake in the stock market, major successes and all that, Target, whatever. They are all against this because you know what happens? It hurts them as well as it hurts the consumers. I mean, how many of us rely on online shopping nowadays from Amazon and Walmart and Target? How many of us want that to be slowed down? Not many of us. Because do you think we really want to have to deal with the crowds at the stores like I'm going to have to deal with tonight working? No, we don't. The point is, in the long run, this is not going to succeed because even if it gets to a point where it looks like it's going to succeed, you know what's going to happen? It's going to go to the Supreme Courts. And it's not just it's because of people like me that's going to take it to the Supreme Courts. It's going to be major online and physical corporations that are not in favor of it. Like I said, Netflix, Google, Facebook, Walmart, you name it, Target, everybody that relies on net neutrality for the businesses in a major way, especially during this time of year, are basically going to fight against it. And it's going to be a battle. This guy that's proposing this idea here is going to lose in the long run. And I think he knows it, and I think the SEC knows it. I mean, look, if the FCC and this guy are so determined on repelling net neutrality, what, okay, look, I can understand maybe from a business standpoint what the reasons would be. Anybody would. But if this is also about but if this is also about, like I said earlier, about what's been going on in the world, terrorism rise, you should also add that to your statement. Give a real reason. Don't just say, oh, well, we're doing this because it gives people better chances at packages they really want. No, come out and say basically, oh, by the way, we're doing this because we want to police and see and try to prevent terrorism from happening again. And if that's the case, just add that to your statement. We would understand. If you would say that from the beginning, we would understand that. Because we'd be like, okay, we get it now. We understand why. We get it. We understand this is why you want to do it. This is the real reason. Okay, fine. And we'd be willing to deal with that for a while because if it's going to help cut down on terrorism in country, out of country, whatever, then fine. Go ahead, do it. Don't come out though and make up an excuse saying, oh, it's going to provide people with packages of their choosing. That's not really the case when one thinks about it. And if it's also to cut down on people trolling, cyberbullying, and all that, fine. Okay, fine. If that's gonna be another reason, you should add that as well. The point is, this kind of proposal has been done in the past, and in the end, it has failed. Whether or not it succeeded in-house by being passed, well, not in-house, but in Congress by being passed, it's still, like I said, got to go through all these political filters. It's still got to go to the House of Representatives. it's still going to get voted on several other times before it becomes a reality. And you can't tell me that if it goes through this, and then if it goes through all those other filters, then inevitably it's not going to win, that it's not going to fail. It is, because it's still got to go through a lot of filters. It's not automatically going to happen overnight. We all know that. The only reason, though, we are talking about it now as we speak is to prevent it from even becoming a reality. Its first step from becoming a second step from becoming a reality. That's the only reason people like me, the Schlag Daddy, Jeff Siegel, you know, people at WWE, that's a big freaking corporation. Oh, and guess whose wife is working for Trump's administration? Exactly. And you think they want this to happen? No, they'll be one of the people against it, because guess what they rely on as far as the internet goes and net neutrality goes? The WWE network. So you got all these other components that are going to be hugely against this, even if this proposal passes. Again, it's a proposal, not a bill. It's a proposal to turn it into a bill, and guess what? In the end, it's going to fail. It is going to fail. And I think a lot of the corporations that support this know this. They can come out and say, oh, well, nothing's really going to change. Well, unless they can prove it to us, no one's going to believe them. If Comcast wants to prove, oh, nothing's going to really change, why don't you take that 1 gigabyte or 1 terabyte speed you're advertising and give it to all your consumers and prove to them nothing's going to change? And, oh, here, have this as a way of us telling you nothing's going to change. Why doesn't Verizon, if they have any special news speeds that they're offering, why don't they do the same thing? Unless they can prove, see, and same with AT&T, unless they can prove to us that nothing really is going to change in the end, no one's going to believe them. No one. See, people have been around for far too long, have been access to the internet for far too long, have played this game too many times to know there's too many holes in their mind, in their opinions, that there are too many holes, gaping holes in this whole situation that need to be filled and need to be addressed, because they could see right through these gaping holes about this size, to know that something isn't right. And they're not falling for all this crap. They're not. So in the end, with Comcast Xfinity, Xfinity, AT&T, Verizon, and all these corporate major telecommunication corporations have to do to prove us wrong is show that nothing's going to change. I don't want to see, like I say, a freaking avatar. Let's say I want to go to patreon.com. I don't want to see something come up saying access to patreon.com costs $3.99. Fork over $4, please. I don't want to see that. And you know what? What's even crazier is people got to go to school. They go to school online. My mom plans to go back to school online. Do you think she's going to want to have to deal with going to Las Positas, this website, and all of a sudden something pops up saying access to Las Positas College costs $5, costs $4.99, $5, please? You think she wants that? No. So unless, like I said, unless these telecommunication corporations can prove to us that nothing's going to happen in the end, can show us straight up nothing's going to end, maybe offer us, or I don't know, terabyte packages of speed, sorry for that, then speed as a way of saying, hey, look, we're sorry we put you through all this paranoia, and here you go. Unless they could prove to us in the end that this whole repel of net neutrality is not a big deal, nothing's going to really change, people are not going to believe it. And even, like I said, if this proposal passes, it's still got to go through a lot of major filters to become a reality. It's not going to be an overnight deal. It's not. Because even if the proposal passes, it's still got to go through, from what I understand, other states, other situations. Hold on, let me check. Just to double check. But like I said, it's still got to go through other Here's what it says. A bill is proposed. Okay. Is proposed legislation under consideration by a bill does not become law until it is passed by the legislation, in most cases approved by the executive. Once a bill has been enacted into law, it is called an act of legislation or a statute. Okay. Trying to see here. Says the proposal is not the end of net neutrality rules. This is David Cohen, from what I understand. If I can find where he says it. Okay, here it is. Let's see. It says, but proponents, including telecom trade groups and ISPs, tout the FCC's plan as a tempered form of net neutrality. This proposal is not the end of net neutrality rule. Yeah, well, here's the thing. You could say that, but people find it hard to believe. You see, the point is, even if this succeeds, no one believes it, believes anything coming out of these people's mouths. They don't. That's why people are being encouraged to call up Congress, fax them, do videos, whatever, to get the word out that we don't want this to occur. And if, like I said earlier, if Congress wants to save the butts, wants to save the seats in future re-elections, they know that they have basically no choice but to vote against it. I mean, yeah, the guy's probably going to get a 50, 51, 50 vote at the end of it, where maybe the last vote's going to say, oh, by the way, I don't want to deal with it. or it's going to be in his favor. But the thing is, it's a proposed draft of what could happen. Not saying that this is going to be instituted immediately. Let's be honest. Because, like I said, proposals cannot be, like I said, unless they find a way around it. You see, it even says FCC releases final proposal to end net neutrality. And this is according to Verge. You see, a lot of people are pretty much saying that this, like, let's say a TechCrunch, let's see. When was this? Back in May. You see, and this has happened back in the summer of this year. They had a battle and everything. And again, even people are saying, the heck, we have Variety saying that the FCC approach to net neutrality needs review. See, everybody is basically worried about this. Everybody's worried about this, and for a good reason. Now, you see, this is one thing. Here's one quote. Here's one thing that the Verge says. It says, while blocking, throttling, and patronizing may be okay with the FCC, the Commission says the ISPs will still have to answer to the FTC, which may or may not be okay with those things. At a bare minimum, though, the FTC has to be at least somewhat accepting of it. Now, here's something. It says, in a frontiers, the Commission also intends to prevent states from passing their own net neutrality rules or laws. Allowing states to implement their own rules, the Commission says, could pose an obstacle to or place under an undue burden. And a lot of people are saying it's going to pass, but we have to wait and see. Now, some are saying don't worry about it. Some are saying, hey, don't worry about all that. And I know some people say, well, nothing really happened beforehand. It's to me, folks, it's more along the lines of we've been in this song and dance before, and even if it passes, it's still going to be a battle for them. They know it. I mean, they say, I mean, this guy basically that's Ajit Pai, a GPS, I think, says that says that net neutrality stifles innovation. He said, and this is what the guy says. He says, under his proposal, the federal government will stop micromanaging the internet. He says the plan could be approved by the Republican-led FCC as early as its December 14th meeting. Yeah, and here's the other thing. People that are basically talking about it, saying that it's a bad thing, are basically pointing out what is going to happen. It's like Jeff Siegel, just like Daddy said. Companies that are in favor of this, are going to basically say, "Oh, well, you want to go to Yahoo to search? Not so fast. Pay us $10." That's the whole point. Or if you have someone like AT&T that has Yahoo, and you want to go to Google or Bing, it's like, not so fast. Pay us $15 or $5 or whatever. And again, I know people, like I said just moments ago, people are saying, well, think about it. Before the net neutralities, nothing was really wrong then. Everybody had access to YouTube and all that. Everything was fine. Everything was good. Look, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying nothing was good or nothing was bad. But the point is, right now, a lot of people and corporations nowadays are up and in a big look. Things were different just a few years ago. Let's be honest. Before 2015, yeah, nothing may have seemed like it changed. I've been on YouTube even before the net neutrality rules went into play. I get that. But what many people are worried about, and again, I said this earlier, unless the corporations that support this can prove us wrong, um, what people are worried about is limitation. It's like this is supposed to be about freedom of speech. Yet if someone comes out and bashes Trump and says, "Oh well, Trump blah 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 blah," on their, let's say, Facebook page, they're worried that maybe FCC would hear that and say, "No, no, 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 that's not right. You're off." That's what they're worried about. It's like people are more like, "Oh, Trump's the greatest president of all time. He's the greatest, great, 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 great." That's what people want, and they'll be like, "That's great. Yeah, you can stay." That's what they worry about. It's supposed to be about freedom of speech. But again, even if this proposed order, is voted on and voted, you know, is voted on and voted for on December 14th, it's still got a long ways to go. And we're not just talking the battle of in courts and all that or anything like that. Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that it's still got to go through other phases before it gets to its final destination. I mean, it started up earlier this year, if not late last year. So now it's got to go through a slow. It's still got to go through other filters before it gets there. I mean, heck, I mean, the guy had a final draft of what his proposed plan is. And you know what? He's probably going to have to come up with more final drafts as the weeks go on because he's going to get more. I mean, heck, they've even talked about it that the backlash on this proposal has already began. The backlash has already began. And you know what? It's going to get even worse the closer we get. I have a Verizon store that's right across from where I work. And there's a guarantee people are going to be protesting out that. The fact is, nobody wants this to happen. They don't want it to. Because here's what I think. Here's my opinion. Unless these corporations that support it can prove us wrong otherwise, can prove the people that are against us wrong otherwise, then they're basically a you-know-what creek without a paddle. Because this goes through, if they think the battle has just begun, they have no idea what kind of a war they're going to be in for. And it's going to be a losing war, a losing battle. Because you have the FTC that might be against it. I mean, does this guy have any idea what he's proposing? And again, I'm not saying it's not going to be voted for and voted on, to go through the next steps of becoming a reality. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this. If the Republicans want to keep their butts in their Congress, in their seats in Congress, they want to keep the butts in their seats in Congress, and knowing that many corporations and people like me are calling them up, faxing them, tweeting them, doing whatever it takes to explain why this is not a good idea, then hopefully they realize that this is not the right time to do this. This is not the right time and place to do this. This is a bad decision. And you know what? All I can say is this. All I can say is this. Whatever the decision that is made down the line, as my mom would say, it's all part of his bigger plan. So all we have to do, honestly, is give it to him, pray to him above, to the Lord above, that whatever decision is made is a decision that benefits everybody and doesn't have a negative impact in the end. That's all you have to do is just get down, is just pray to the Lord above and ask him to ensure that whatever decision is made in the end on December 14th is something that doesn't negatively affect everybody. Because you know why? Because I can tell you from personal experience, he works great wonders. He really does. So all I can say is this. Pray that something positive comes out of this. Even if it passes, pray something positive comes out of this in the long run. That's all I can say. Because right now, the way things are going, this guy is going to be in for the fight of his life as far as getting this to become a reality. Because like I said, rough final drafts and proposals, from what I understand, maybe I'm wrong, are not finalized as bills. They're not totally finalized. The order is not finalized until it goes through all these other filters and it gets to the head guy itself, that being the president. So, again, like I said earlier, and I know this live stream has gone long, but like I said earlier, we've been in this song and dance before. We've been here before. We've had proposals passed before, but in the end, they failed. We've had proposals be voted on and failed, and that was the end of it. We've been here before, and if history is any indication, if history is on the side of the people, then we all know that this is not going to be a victory in the end for Ajit Pai, and those in favor of it. We all know that. So thank you all for watching live. That's all I'm going to really say. Thank you all for watching live. Hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. God bless. Take care. Let me know what you guys think about this whole net neutrality thing. Do you think I've made any points here, any good points? Was I wrong in a few areas? Let me know. Comment down below. Like to hear from you. God bless. Take care. I'm out.